you're a metalhead like me, then yeah, you definitely think that what happened at the 2026 Grammys is a joke. Now, we can agree that most award shows in the industry in general are jokes, and the appeal of them is significantly down to compare to what they were 30 to 40 years ago. So, for the ceremony that happened on February 1st, let's see. Kendrick Lamar wins Record of the Year, Bad Bunny wins Album of the Year, Billie Eilish wins Song of the Year, a lot of other artists winning another category. But I'm a metalhead. I don't give a shit about them.
Can you play some Billie Eilish?
Hells yeah. Coming right up.
You will deserve each other!
I'm in the middle of a deal here.
Hey, shut the hell up. This is the best part.
Best metal performance is usually the only possible Grammy award a metal artist can get. Usually. Sometimes in the case of big bands like Metallica or Avenged Sevenfold, they can get nominated or win in the rock categories, but usually metal stays in its lane at the Grammys. With rock and metal categories still treated as the red-headed stepchild of music, nowadays, they're often not part of the main broadcast. Avenged Sevenfold once skipped the ceremony when one of their songs got nominated because they knew it wasn't going to be broadcast, so they called it a waste of time. So the 2026 nominees for Best Metal Performance are Dream Theater's Night Terror, This one's a great progressive metal anthem, typical trope of Dream Theater that we know and love, but it has a lot of awesome riffs, and it represents that album well. I honestly think Parasomnia, with Mike Portnoy returning as the drummer, is their best work since Dream Theater's heyday in the early 2000s. You know, since well before Portnoy stepped away to work with Avenged Sevenfold, and then Dream Theater hired a different Mike to be their drummer. Then you have Ghost Lacrima. Yeah, Ghost is oftentimes criticized for not being quote-unquote heavy enough for metal purists, but I think their last two albums have been solid, and this song is a really good, catchy, heavy riff that hooks you in. It's very bombastic and heavy. Definitely worth the nomination. Then you have Sleep Token's Emergence. This one's a good genre-bending power ballad song combining electronic hooks and pop with heavy metal riffs. And I'm actually all for metal adapting and integrating newer sounds, potentially to attract new ears. Especially because the classic pure heavy metal legacy acts that we all know and love from the 80s, 90s, and even the 70s, they're winding down, they're done touring or releasing albums, or some of them are just done or disbanded, period. Because some of their members have sadly passed away. They're getting old. We got to face it. And then you have Spiritbox, Soft Spine.
You will deserve each other!
I may not be the biggest worshiper of Spiritbox, but I do think they're a solid group, and Courtney LaPlante kicks ass on stage. And Soft Spine, compared to the rest of their song catalog, is a league above. It's loud, aggressive, super heavy, and it has really catchy riff and beat that really gets that heart pumping. And out of the 5 songs on this list, this one was my favorite. To me, it represents what metal is all about for 2020s. Even if people don't like the screaming vocal, it's the musicianship and the performance that one appreciates. And, I mean, if Gojira can win last year, then yeah, Spiritbox can win this year. And I thought it was really cool that Spiritbox got to perform this song at the Grammys in front of a bunch of corporate stiffs and non-metal listeners. And then lastly, it's Turnstile's Birds.
I don't know, but I'm a man. There was song playing for me and now
listening, I thought, wait, that's it? To me, it's not that great of a song. Okay, a good solid punk rock song at best, that's short, gets its point across, and no disrespect to the group as they're also great, but you look at the other songs in this category and you're thinking, what's this song doing here? And of course, they're the ones who win the award for Best Metal Performance.
Oh, for crying out loud!
A punk rock band wins in the metal category. Are you kidding me? You can make a case for any of the other 4 songs winning, but Turnstile? And to add insult to injury, guess what band won for Best Rock Album of the Year? That's right, Turnstile for Never Enough. Again, good for them. They beat out guys like Linkin Park, Deftones, and Youngblood. And they also got nominated for Best Rock Performance, Best Rock Song, and even Best Alternative Music Performance. So it's not like these guys walked out empty-handed or weren't recognized enough. And according to my friend Purplish Rain, a punk music aficionado, he wasn't even the biggest fan of their latest album, the one that's getting all these accolades. And I'm not blaming the band. The blame is solely on whatever dumb fucks in the Music Academy decided Birds was not only a heavy metal song, but the best heavy metal song they can pick? Oh my god. If this was the old days when metal and punk used to have a bitter rivalry, you can imagine the uproar this would have been. This is the 1989 Grammy Awards all over again. You know, when Jethro Tull beat Metallica in the first ever Best Hard Rock Metal Performance Award.
Let's see, I think the first thing we got to do is, obviously, like you guys were expecting, is we got to thank Jethro Tull for not putting out an album this year, right?
They want to know why a lot of rock metal fans don't care about the award shows too much? It's because of shit like this. It's an obvious case this time of them not at all understanding the genre and what it's about. And then again, these are the same people who did an interview and mistakenly confused Spiritbox Courtney LaPlante for Poppy.
So we're here with rock royalty, Poppy. No, you are. I mean, you got nominated against Judas Priest, who I just talked to.
I
Metallica.
have to say, yep, I am Poppy, and I am really happy to be here, nominated with Knocked Loose. I really hope we win.
And they're lucky that Courtney LaPlante played along with it, and it was a hilarious moment for sure. But still, they gotta know the music acts they're nominating, right? The Grammys currently have 3 categories for rock, 2 for alternative, which can also include rock, and just 1 for metal. And after 30 years of this, since they started giving out these awards, how can they not tell the fucking difference between metal and rock, or metal and punk? Well, you aren't complaining when Metallica gets nominated in the rock category. Yeah, because that's Metallica. They're too huge to not be considered in mainstream rock. If a heavy metal or punk rock act makes an album too big to ignore, then yeah, it should be recognized in mainstream rock circles. It deserves the accolades. Now just head over to the YouTube video for Turnstile's Birds or even the Never Enough album, and the comment section, it's getting flooded with people feeling the same way. This won over the other 4 in metal songs. And there's other people mad that they beat out Linkin Park or Deftones in Best Rock Album. On the Never Enough video, one recent commenter remarked, "So this is when metal is aluminum." And another one, "Is the metal in the room with us?" I think what they ultimately need to have is a punk rock category. Normally punk bands are relegated to the rock category, and it's usually the pop punk guys like Green Day or Blink-182. If they can feature metalcore acts like Spiritbox and Knocked Loose in Best Metal Performance, going up against guys like Disturbed, Judas Priest, and Slipknot, etc., then yeah, they can feature hardcore punk bands in a punk rock category. I get that plenty of diehard punkers would get taken aback by mainstream industry acknowledging them, and they are not happy when the hardcore scene gets more exposure, but that's the thing. The music industry is still a business, and no matter how non-conforming you want to be, you're still an act that sells concert tickets and albums to your biggest supporters, so you can put food on the table and make rent while pursuing your dream. This also isn't the 1980s anymore. We live in an age when basically all forms of music are much more accessible and easier to discover and consume. It's actually much harder nowadays to be underground when everyone can see and listen to anything at just a few taps of a smartphone. And compared to what it was like 30 to 40 years ago, more people in general are accepting of the harder, heavier, and more aggressive stuff. Oh, sure, tens of millions of more people are going to gravitate towards the Kendrick Lamars, the Bad Bunnies, the Taylor Swifts, the Lady Gagas, or the Sabrina Carpenters of the world. But it wouldn't hurt if these listeners were also able to stumble on a really good metal or hardcore punk song to add to their palette. And you never know. They may end up converting and becoming fans themselves and spend their money at their concerts instead of on Taylor Swift. And the more people that do that, then they can tell the Academy assholes, hey, dumbasses, learn the fucking difference between rock and metal. Turnstile should have never been in the same category as Spiritbox or Ghost. And thank you for listening as I peeked my head briefly back in, but yes, I am still on hiatus. I may do one last major political rant, as there is definitely some stuff on my mind, and I will for sure do a collaboration talking about the differences between punk and metal when we can both do it. But again, I'm sorry, I'm still going to be on hiatus for the rest of the year. Until then, I'm Desert Coyote 22. See you next time, whenever that's going to be.